Please welcome our next speaker, Aiden Martinelli, presenting Censor the Shooter, the media's detrimental role in promoting mass shootings.
Everyone living in Santa Clarita knew that mass shootings were a problem, but none of us living here could think it would ever happen to us. Severe crime is almost unheard of, as we live in one of the safest cities in California. Until November 14th, 2019, when the upper school was called inside on lockdown while waiting outside for class to start. A seemingly normal student shot 5 people, killing 2 before turning the gun on himself. Just like that, Saugus High School became another name added to the ever-growing list of school shootings. And in the midst of all that chaos was more chaos. Hundreds of conflicting reports on social media about who did what exactly took place, details about the shooter and the victims, all of which were emerging at a rather unhelpful and chaotic pace. The media directly and indirectly influences every part of our daily lives, from the constant coverage of the ongoing presidential race to the intimate details of a school shooting. We all know that the things we see on the news can bring us joy, grief, and anger. Although it pains us to see it, we can agree that knowing about these shootings is beneficial since it keeps us informed. These shootings have been a constant problem in America and throughout the world, and it shows no signs of slowing down. As Americans, our First Amendment is the freedom of speech and freedom of the press. We have a constitutional right to have access to pertinent news and media. But should we have access to the name of a shooter, their criminal background, their personal information? This raises the pressing question: to what extent should the media be censored or limited in order to prevent future shootings from happening? For years, the number of mass shootings has been increasing, with more and more being killed by the mentally sick. No school, church, or public event is exempt from being a shooter's next planned target. The news of a shooting only briefly crosses our minds, and generally it has become so normalized and commonplace that it is old news within a month or two. Because we cannot know when a shooting will happen and be there to stop it, we must look for ways to prevent them from being planned in the first place. Politicians and civilians alike have been constantly debating on how they can solve this problem. Some argue that stricter gun control should be implemented, or more emphasis on mental health counselors in schools and workplaces. Although these methods could help, a significant, effective, and simple way can be media censorship. The media must censor the coverage of the one behind the attack and any details about them or that they left behind. Just by news companies refraining from releasing this information can help this widespread problem. While not all shooters are acting for media attention and are just venting in an insane way or acting on a specific agenda, there is still a significant amount whose sole desire is infamy. According to a study done by 2 renowned criminal justice professors, Jason Silva and Emily Green, 5 of the 10 most widely covered incidents since the 1999 Columbine High School shooting were perpetrated by individuals who wanted media attention. Censorship of information on mass shooters can be a solution to the problem we are facing seemingly every day, as someone might see no reason for killing others if they won't remember anyone. There should be no personal information released on the shooter. No name, no background, no manifesto should be made available to the public. Some would say this is a direct violation of our First Amendment right, and while it does contradict the First Amendment in a way, there's been times in America's history where exemptions were made. In the 1942 Supreme Court case, Chaplinsky versus New Hampshire, a man was preaching his religion and stirred a crowd into a violent riot. He was arrested and argued for his First Amendment right. The court ruled against him, though, declaring that he was saying fighting words. When you cause violence by what you say, the First Amendment does not apply. I argue that the same could be applied to the media, where they indirectly influence others to act on shootings. The extensive and repetitive release of the stories and backgrounds of a shooter can and does inspire others to plan their shooting. No child wants to feel their school is not a safe place for learning. No teacher wants to have to perform the lockdown protocols they have practiced endlessly. Censorship of details of the shooter will help to discourage copycat shooters and those with a desire for fame within the news. The problem of mass shootings cannot and will not be solved overnight. However, it is our duty as American and Christian citizens to conceive possible solutions to this problem. The government's immediate government action and the media's compliance is the key to saving lives. Thank you.